Here's a scenario I see play out more than I'd like. A buyer from out of state finds the perfect home in South Florida. Right neighborhood, right size, right price. They go under contract. They're excited. And then 2 weeks later, their insurance quote comes back. And it's two, three, sometimes four times what they expected. For some buyers, it's manageable. For others, it completely changes whether the home is affordable. And in every case, it was a surprise that didn't need to be one. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how homeowners insurance works in South Florida, what it actually costs, what affects your rate, and how to avoid getting blindsided. I'm a licensed Florida real estate professional, and this is one of the most important conversations I have with every out-of-state buyer I work with. Let's start with why Florida is different from everywhere else, because it genuinely is. Florida sits at the intersection of hurricane exposure, flooding risk, and a challenging insurance market that has seen multiple major carriers pull back from the state in recent years. What that means practically is fewer choices, higher prices, and some quirks that don't exist anywhere else. The average homeowner's insurance premium in the U.S. is somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 a year. In South Florida, Palm Beach and Broward counties, you're typically looking at $3,000 to $8,000 a year for a single-family home. For some older homes or homes in higher-risk areas, it can go higher. That's not a typo, and it's not a reason not to buy here. It's just a number you need to know before you calculate your monthly budget. When people say homeowners insurance in Florida, they're actually dealing with up to three separate things. Understanding the difference matters. The first is your standard homeowner's policy. This covers most perils: fire, theft, liability, wind damage from regular storms. In Florida, this policy includes hurricane wind coverage, but the hurricane deductible is separate from your regular deductible. And this is important. Your hurricane deductible is typically not a flat dollar amount. It's a percentage of your dwelling coverage. So on a home insured for $500,000 with a 2% hurricane deductible, you'd pay the first $10,000 of hurricane damage out of pocket before insurance kicks in. That's not unusual, and it's worth knowing. The second is flood insurance. This is completely separate from your homeowner's policy and covers damage from rising water. Storm surge, flooding, heavy rain. If your property is in a FEMA special flood hazard area, your lender will require it. Even if it's not required, it's worth seriously considering in South Florida. Flood insurance through the National Flood Insurance Program typically runs between $1,000 and $4,000 a year, depending on your flood zone and coverage amount. The third is wind mitigation. And this one is different because it's not a policy, it's an inspection. A licensed inspector evaluates how well your home is built to withstand high winds. They look at your roof shape, your roof covering, how your roof is attached to the walls, and whether you have impact-resistant windows or shutters on all your openings. A strong wind mitigation report can meaningfully lower your insurance premium, sometimes by hundreds of dollars a year. It typically costs $150 to $200 and is almost always worth it. Insurance companies in Florida look at a long list of factors when quoting your home. Here are the ones that matter most: roof age and type. This is often the single biggest factor. A newer roof, especially one installed after 2002 when Florida adopted stricter building codes, will get you significantly better rates. If you're looking at an older home with an original roof, get an inspection and a roofing estimate before you buy. Replacing a roof in South Florida typically runs $15,000 to $30,000 or more, depending on size and material, and some insurers won't quote a home with a roof over 15 to 20 years old at all. Location and flood zone. Being in a higher risk flood zone raises your flood insurance cost. Being closer to the coast raises your wind risk. Distance from a fire station also affects your rate. These are fixed factors. You can't change them, so know them before you fall in love with a property. Construction type. Concrete block construction, CBS, is the standard in South Florida and is viewed favorably by insurers compared to frame construction. Most newer and mid-age homes here are CBS, impact windows and doors. If a home has impact-resistant windows and doors on all openings, that's a significant positive for your wind mitigation report and your insurance rate. If it has accordion shutters or panel shutters on all openings, that's also favorable. A mix of protected and unprotected openings reduces the benefit. Year built. Homes built after 2002 were constructed under stricter Florida building code requirements and tend to perform better in wind events and get better insurance rates as a result. Older homes can absolutely be insured, but the rates and requirements are different. So what do you actually do with all of this? A few practical steps. First, get an insurance quote estimate early. Before you're under contract, before you've started your serious search, get a rough quote for the types of properties and areas you're considering. An independent insurance agent who specializes in Florida can give you a ballpark in 15 minutes. This sets your real budget, not your Zillow-based budget. Second, when you're under contract, get at least 3 quotes from different carriers. The Florida market has a lot of smaller specialty insurers. Rates vary more than you'd expect between companies for the same property. Third, order the wind mitigation inspection during your inspection period. The cost is minimal, and the savings can be significant. And fourth, if you're looking at a condo, understand that the HOA's master policy covers the structure, but you'll still need an HO6 policy for your interior, personal property, and liability. Get a quote for that too. Insurance is one of 7 topics I cover in detail in my complete guide for out-of-state buyers relocating to South Florida. The guide also covers how to pick the right neighborhood, how to get mortgage ready, how to make a competitive offer, and the full Florida-specific buying process, closing costs, homestead exemption, title insurance, all of it. The link is in the description. I also have a 27-point buyer checklist. Step 6 is specifically about getting an insurance estimate before you start your search. Also in the description. Subscribe for weekly South Florida buyer content and drop a comment below with any insurance questions. I answer everyone. See you next week.